right, everybody, before we get into this video, a big disclaimer, because you're probably like, what is happening in your hand? My other wireless mic died yesterday. We're going to insert the sound of what it sounds like when you talk into it. My guest today is wearing the only mic that works, and this is my random other mic that I have attached into my vlog camera so that you can actually hear me during this video and none of you tell me how bad the audio is. So enjoy. We're holding this for right now. Hey everybody, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Today we have another episode of the FITT Down Chat, and we have a very special guest, Roy Belzer.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to have you. Roy and I are TikTok friends.
TikTok friends.
So we're meeting for the first time today. And why don't you just introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, so I'm Roy Belzer of Roy Belzer Fitness. I am a NASM certified personal trainer with a focus in functional movement and body positivity, focused on helping people reach their fitness goals while maintaining good mental health practices.
I love that. I feel like we have so much overlap there.
Yes.
Not only in like our coaching philosophies, but also in our background.
Yeah.
Roy also was a performer for 10 years.
Yeah, no, I did musical theater, opera, and choral music primarily for about a decade and have been on a little bit of a hiatus, but getting back into it.
So Roy, we obviously have a lot in common with like our background in theater. Now we're into fitness. We have very similar mentalities. I would love to hear just like, how did you get into fitness?
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of me getting into fitness honestly had to do with my performance career in the first place. So I grew up doing musical theater, and I was on like a nationally ranked competitive show choir when I was in high school.
Glee vibes.
Glee vibes. And it was right when Glee was happening. So I was like, we were watching it in real time. I was the same age as the kids on the show. So,
Okay, side note then, who was your favorite character?
oh my gosh, don't do that to me. I probably resonated most with Kurt, honestly.
Oh, that's a good choice.
It was, yeah, so I did not finish the show because like once I graduated, I was like, they're graduating, we're gonna get messy. But But yeah, so I just remember there was a point when I was working through a lot of the musical theater stuff and show choir stuff where the dancing was just not working for me at that time. So I made the decision to start a health and fitness journey. So for me, that began with cutting out certain food groups and going on runs, and really quickly I saw a change because I went from essentially sedentary life outside of the occasional dance rehearsal to I'm running 5 or 6 days a week and barely eating. And unfortunately for me, as I was losing all of my weight, I started to integrate some poor mental health aspects of that as well. And that spiraled a little bit into a myriad of eating disorders. And for several years, I fought a pretty hefty battle with that, to the point that I was hospitalized for a minute with my eating disorders. And when I came out of that on the other side, I started to focus on what health actually meant to me and what I needed in my life to sustain a healthy lifestyle. I wanted to start to introduce others to that as well. So I made the decision to get certified as a personal trainer, go to school. I was pre-med for a second, and
Ooh, damn.
yeah. So anatomy, physiology, who? So I became a certified personal trainer so I could help others avoid what I went through and help others find love in the body that they're already in, regardless of where they're at with their size.
I love that because I find that especially nowadays, and we're going to talk more about like fitness marketing and all of that, I think that a lot of people end up getting into being a coach or whatever they want to call themselves because of the way their body looks.
Yeah.
And they go, well, I'm going to help others look like me. Whereas your approach was more of the, I'm going to help others avoid the struggles that I went through.
Absolutely.
And I think that's such an important distinction that doesn't get made enough.
I completely agree. And that's specifically why I surround myself with people like you and several other people within the industry who have a very similar mentality, who work to help others love the body that they're in while they're working on their fitness goals. So it's so important to me to like surround myself with people in the fitness industry with that mentality.
Fast forward to now, you're a coach, you help people love the bodies that they're in. Can you explain to me a little bit more, like, how does that appear in your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I was saying, like a big part of what I do with clients is focused on the mental health aspect. So anytime that I have a client session, I break it down into several parts, but one of the most important parts is that first 10 minutes of every session are going to be a mental health check-in. So we discuss how they're feeling about their body, how they've celebrated their body that week, what challenges they've had in whether it be movement practices, nutrition, or in self-love for that week, or maybe several times a week, depending on the client and how often we meet. But I take that time to have that check-in to see where they're at for that day. And oftentimes that can dictate how the actual workout is going to go. So sometimes I'll have a client who's like, I've had the shittiest week with movement. I don't feel good. I don't like the way that I look in the mirror right now. Can we just have a moment to move with intention and not focus on something really difficult today, because I don't have that kind of mental capacity right now? And that is totally fine. We can program around that and we can work with that, because I mean, working with clients with where they're at is so important.
Yep.
Because, you know, our mental health is just as important as our movement practices. And if we can integrate the two of those, absolutely, let's do it.
100%. And I love that. Like, you have to meet someone where they're at. And, you know, I get asked quite often, especially from like newer coaches, well, if someone doesn't want to do this exercise, what am I supposed to do? And you know, honestly, the basic thing is kind of like what you said, like think about why you chose an exercise, just pick something else. Like there's no magic one exercise, no matter what the internet tells you, there's no one exercise that is the only answer for something. Like you could pick 1,000 different things to meet your client where they're at, or even just what they enjoy.
I have clients come to me concerned all the time about like certain exercises. They're like, oh, okay, well, I want to work on this part of my body, but I really hate this style of exercise. Is there a way that we can work around that? Abso-fucking-lutely. There are 1,000 ways to work any movement, any muscle group. Like we got this. Yeah. And that's one of my favorite things to do with clients is when they come to me with challenges like that. I'm like, ooh, okay, you have like a chair at your house, maybe a ball somewhere. Like, how can I turn these into a workout that you're going to enjoy and actually benefit from?
Yep.
And most of the time it works out really well. And I don't know, it's a fun challenge for me, and it gets the client to where they need to be for that day.
And it forces you as the coach to like continue to think about training the individual rather than just, because I know like you also have like an on-demand program and it just kind of like, these are the exercises and you go through them. But I feel like there is something really important about working with one-on-one clients to keep yourself like fresh as a coach and also just tuned in to what people actually need.
Yeah, absolutely. Having those one-on-one conversations with people going through whatever they're going through and seeing like how you can continuously grow as a coach is so important.
100%. Because otherwise you're just a body on a screen telling people what exercises to do.
Yeah.
So speaking of screens, obviously we connected on TikTok and I'm obsessed with your content.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with yours.
TikTok I have a love-hate relationship with TikTok.
I feel that so much.
It is insert any word there. Yeah. But one of the things that I notice a lot, which is unfortunately where we still are in society, is that you get a lot of pushback as a coach who happens to not be in a societally thin body at this moment in time.
Yeah.
I would just love to hear, like, how do you combat that? Like, how do you approach that? How do you deal with that?
So
Sorry, that's such like a loaded question. It's just like, and go.
Oh no, it's great. Here we go, 10-minute segment. So honestly, I do. I post a lot of fitness content, a lot of like self-love content, and it's all focused on loving the body that I'm currently in, which is important for me because I have a very heavy history with anorexia and bulimia, orthorexia, and the body I'm in right now is different from the body I was in when I was in poor mental health place. So I'm trying my hardest to honor the body that is serving me fully right now. And I am fit as shit right now.
Yes!
Yeah,
Fit as shit.
fit as shit.
I always say I want to be a sturdy bitch.
Oh, yes.
That's my goal.
Well, I don't know how it happened, but at some point during my time on TikTok, I've coined and built a community around the term fit goddess. And
With a QU.
yeah, with a QU, THIQU. Now it's part of my brand. It's a thing, and I am the fit goddess. I am here for it. Oftentimes, because I'm posting content and I'm being who I am, working in a fitness space outside of the norm that is the societal standard of abs, etc. I get a lot of pushback of like hate comments, like fat bodies are unhealthy, or this is so bad for your mental health, or you could never truly be fit if you're in a big body, etc. You know, all these bullshit comments. And the way I combat them is you will never really see me talking to the screen with the comments featured. I will always put the comment in the corner of the video, and I would do the most outrageous fucking exercise I can think of.
I just love that, I mean, you take a similar approach to me, to people like trolling you.
Yeah.
She's like, troll them right back.
Yeah.
You want to tell me my lighting sucks? I'm going to tell you to buy me some lighting.
I think the only time I've actually like spoken and like had a conversation back at someone was when they were doing some like pro Anna comment where they were like very pro anorexia. They're like, you looked better when you were dying in bed. And I was like, we are not doing that. We are absolutely not going to have that kind of language. We're not going to have that like geared towards any of my followers because this is a community that I've built of people who are trusting me, and I want them to know I have your back and we are not going to settle for that shit.
And that's the thing too. It's like, regardless of how, like, luckily how secure you are with yourself right now, like you have like hundreds of thousands of people viewing your content. And even though those comments aren't directed toward anybody else but you, like someone could absolutely read that and take that to themselves. You know what I mean? And I think that it is constantly sad to realize like how little empathy or even just understanding people have for others. And I like to think that it's just because people either like are ignorant or don't understand. But I'm sure it's frustrating.
It's absolutely frustrating because even when like people have, you know, the internet at their hand, they have a wealth of knowledge and they still choose to be like willfully ignorant on subjects and turn around and be a total asshole to someone. Like, it's just wild that people have like that sense of audacity. Like where do they find it? People can be the worst. People are the best.
Yeah.
But people can be the worst.
People are people. So I got so much pushback. I made a video about BMI, I think like 6 months ago now, and I did not realize how many people love BMI.
Oh yeah.
And it was just totally shocking to me to see the pushback there. And I just think what people don't understand is like, if we do have these ways to measure internal health, which honestly is the most important part, like how you're functioning internally.
Absolutely.
Why are we judging someone's health based off of how they look?
It's absolutely ridiculous. I honestly, like at this point in our development of scientific technology, like the metrics that we need to go by to actually measure someone's health have nothing to do with their outside aesthetic. Like, it's fucking wild to me that we're still even considering that.
Yeah. And it's like, it's wild that, I mean, the last chat that I did was with my friend Charlotte, who everyone should check that out. It was a very good episode. But she is a thin, petite, active woman. and she, like, from the outside, looks perfectly healthy. And she has genetically high cholesterol.
Yeah.
Because it just runs in her family. And she has to take shots every week and be on medication. And unfortunately, her mom didn't know and passed away from it at a young age. But it's like, no one would ever look at her and question how healthy she is.
Yeah.
But people look at, individuals in larger bodies and automatically say, you're unhealthy, you're going to die young, this, that. And it's like, it's just silly to me to make those assumptions simply based on how someone looks.
It's wild to me that people are in 2023 still commenting on bodies in general.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, like, if you're not the one in the body, it's none of your business.
Thank you.
That's soundbite. So if you're not the one in the body, it's none of your business, honestly. And like, to that same point, like, no one would look at me and think, oh my God, he's got an eating disorder. It's because that's a thing that sticks with you moving forward throughout your entire life. Like, I honestly, like, still have body dysmorphia. It's oftentimes hard for me to watch a lot of my videos back because, seeing myself on camera, I don't see myself the same way that the hundreds of thousands of people on the internet that follow me do. And I don't know, it's just wild that people will make their own assumptions and still comment on someone's body.
I love the thing that you said about someone else's body is none of your business. And I think that people get confused because we're coaches and people think, well, no, because you're a coach, it is your business what someone's body looks like. And I'm telling you right now, even my client's body is none of my business. I am not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. How much someone weighs, how much body fat they have, that is out of my scope of practice.
100%.
It also doesn't align with any of my values as a coach. But, when someone comes to me and if they do actually have a weight loss goal, like, that's fine. You're allowed to want to lose weight, like, it's your body. Yeah. You can do whatever you want. But we'll, sit down and talk about, like, well, what does that mean? What does that look like? Yeah. How does it feel when you reach that goal? And quite often, all of the things that we're talking about might have the side effect of weight loss, but it comes down to more of like, oh, well, I want to be able to play with my kids. I want to be able to walk up the stairs of my 4-story building without getting winded. Like, it's more things that I can help you with. And you know what? You might have the side effect of weight loss, and that's one of your goals. That's awesome. Yeah. But I'm not going to sit there and have a client weigh in and do crazy cardio workouts and just like burn the calories off, because it's not achievable long term. No. And just to go back to the beginning of it, it's none of my business.
It's none of our business. Honestly, that's why in the last several years, I specifically stopped working with clients who have aesthetic focused goals. So I don't do that at all anymore. And honestly, I only have currently one client who has like a goal of fat loss, and that's like a medical reason behind it. So.
And really quickly, because I actually love that you're distinctifying this, what's the difference between weight loss and fat loss? I mean, this isn't a quiz, just like in your brain. So.
No, I know. So
this quiz.
This is 100% something that I'm trying to make a change in the vernacular in general within the industry, because there is a heavy distinction between, weight loss versus fat loss because of, several different factors. One of the major ones being, muscle weighs more than fat. And if we're starting to move away from losing fat tissue and we're losing, muscle tissue because we're overextending ourselves with it, cardio, we're under eating, etc. Like, you're still going to be losing weight, but you might not be losing fat. So if we're trying to like find the distinction there, like muscle mass versus fat mass versus, bone density, it's so important to change the vernacular to not be weight loss. Yeah.
Like, I must weigh 137 pounds or else. It's like, well, what does that number mean?
Yeah.
But then they'll turn around and say, like, I want like a BBL, and like,
well,
I'm like, oh.
All right, you got money?
Yeah, right. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh my God.
Okay, I feel like this is a good time to turn into our fun questions, because I feel like this is a good tie into the first one.
Okay.
What is your biggest pet peeve with fitness marketing?
Oh my God. It's anything that is fear mongering.
Ooh, tell me more.
When I think fear mongering in like fitness in general, it's like social media or like news outlets and society in general, like saying you are going to be less than if you are not this. You are not going to be worthy if you don't like look a certain way, or if you're not, moving this way. It's instilling a fear that if I don't do this specific thing, I'm not going to be who I need to be. I'm not going to be worthy in the eyes of the world. So that's like my number one, like big one, is telling people that they're not, or making them feel like they're not worthy.
That's a good one. We haven't had that one yet. I'm going to grab a sip of water.
I am too, since I've been gabbing on. Where we're like 30 minutes into me rambling.
This looks so... Actually...
It's only minorly phallic.
Fantastic.
Wonderful, beautiful.
Yeah,
and my favorite thing is like seeing it on that. It's just like,
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, I'm just seeing it now.
Put an eggplant emoji over that. That's really funny. So the other fun question I've been asking everybody, which has a lot less sass underneath of it.
Okay.
What is the one exercise that you love to perfect across the board with all of your clients?
Oh gosh, this is a big one. It's a very challenging question because I work with a lot of people one-on-one who are pre and post physical therapy rehabilitation. Like that's my like bread and butter. I don't talk about it online, but that's like where I tend to lean. So I work with a lot of people with different disabilities, etc. But the one move that I work with all of my very able-bodied clients on, and I don't even remember if it's got a name. It's going to be coming from the floor to standing with no hands. So kneeling, rock back, stand.
Yep. I do that with my pregnant clients.
Yes.
Because, you got a lot of stuff in front of you.
Yep.
Yes. I love
Kneeling,
that.
rock back, stand. Yeah. Because I work with a lot of clients who, all of my able-bodied clients have come from sedentary lifestyle, and they're like, I want to train like an athlete. I was like, okay, well, let's make sure you can stand up off the floor without hands first. And it's just a really fun one to work with them on, and all of the progressions to get them there. And then the moment that they get it and don't fall over, there's this, and just a light on their face. Oh my God, I can do anything.
Yep.
If I got to this point, I can do anything. And then we set 1,000 new goals that have nothing to do with aesthetics.
Well, I love that because it's so it sounds so basic, and I'm going to throw in a word there, but it's very functional, obviously. Yeah. But I feel like especially working with people coming back from a rehab setting for whatever reason, but when you're in a rehab setting, you've kind of lost almost a bit of your freedom because you've lost some of your movement in whatever it is, right? So being able to give people back a little bit of that freedom of I'm going to teach you how to get up off the floor without needing help from somebody else or help from a chair or the worry that you're going to fall down and hurt yourself.
I think a big thing that people don't realize to that same is movement is a privilege. And it's a privilege that so many of us take for granted. And that's a narrative that we need to change. And it's something that we need to understand and put out into the world for others to acknowledge. But movement is a privilege.
One of the things that I love reminding people about is sure, movement can absolutely get you aesthetic changes on your body. I like to think of it more of a side effect. Just that's my, background, my personal preference. But I always like to think of movement is you're investing in your savings account for when you're 70, 80 years old. Because when you get to a certain age, your risk of falls increases, your risk of injury, your risk of, not being able to care for yourself. And like you said, movement is a privilege. And if you don't start investing when you're young to, increase your bone density, to increase your muscle mass, to, just making your joints feel better through mobility and even just daily walks, you are not going to feel great when you're older.
Absolutely.
And people can't see past the I want abs now.
Yeah.
People can't see into the future and how honestly silly. If you want abs, that's awesome. I don't want to work that hard. I would rather enjoy my life a little bit more because I understand what it takes with my personal genetics. But I would rather enjoy my life and invest in that savings account long term. And when I'm 80, I can still I don't know, go on a trip with my husband and be able to walk around and not be afraid that I'm going to fall and break my hip.
I love that. I love that so much because it's really not talked about, the longevity of the goals that you set now. And having the mindset of it like a savings account is just a really good way to put it, because I don't know, it's something that you need to work towards now to have then. So that's something that like made a switch for me. I like that.
I love it. I think that's a good place to kind of wrap everything up. So, Roy, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Yeah, so I'm on all of the social medias as Roy Belzer Fitness, and I have a Facebook group full of body positive individuals as well called All Bodies Are Crop Top Bodies. Of course.
I love that.
And then I've got my membership as well that I run. As we talked about earlier, it is an on-demand membership full of workouts I filmed, all doing my own workouts. And so you'll get to see me suffer along with you if you take the class.
Always fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And I will leave all that info linked down below, and make sure you go follow Roy. And
yeah, thank you.
Thank you guys. Woo, we did it.
Did it.
Yes. This is very phallic.
It is. I caught it out of the corner of my eye and I was like, oh my God.